I made 4,787 platinum in a single day in Warframe, and no, it wasn't from selling god roll ribbons. My goal here is to give you the truth of exactly what I did so that you too can make a lot of platinum in a single day. The idea of making platinum in Warframe is pretty simple at first. Just jump in a trade chat and sell some things you farmed. But the truth of the matter is, not every player has been playing this game for 10 years and knows exactly how much things are worth or what's actually worth farming for to sell. So my overall goal here is to give you the tools you need so it becomes really easy for you to make platinum in this game. So getting into how I made almost 4,800 platinum in a single day. It's really kinda simple. I spent a lot of time in trade chat, if that wasn't obvious enough already. I mean, some of you might be thinking, oh, well you probably just sold a god roll ribbon or something. But I don't really have a lot of god roll ribbons. In fact, I don't even know if I have any actual god roll ribbons at this point, as they're such a pain in the balls to get a hold of. So this is great news for you because this means you don't need to have god roll ribbons either to make this kind of platinum. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you do need to play the game. You're definitely going to have to go out there and have things that are worth value that you can move in trade chat. The good news is, I have this entire playlist already whipped up for you guys on YouTube. And the more of these videos you watch, the easier it's going to be for you to make platinum. I'll leave the link in the description so you can get to that later. I'm sure a lot of you are asking though, but what did you sell? You only sold Warframes? And honestly, no, I didn't. I never only just sell one thing in the game. In fact, the reason why I make so much platinum is because I sell everything in the game. So maybe I didn't sell god roll ribbons, but I definitely sold junk ribbons. When I think back to everything that I sold this day to make this kind of platinum, it wasn't just Warframes, it was weapons, it was mods of all different types. I even wound up selling gems and fish. And I'd say overall my goal wasn't necessarily to make a specific amount of platinum this day, and usually when I'm in trade chat it never is. When I get the bug to be in trade chat, my goal is usually just to get rid of all my trades. And I don't particularly care how that happens. So one of the most overlooked ways to make platinum in this game, I feel that most players are kind of skipping and passing up on, is what I like to call ghosting trade chat. And what's cool about this is you don't even have to post in trade chat. You just gotta look at it. The big reward in life usually never happens without any kind of effort. And what's cool about ghosting trade chat is, it's really the least amount of effort you could possibly put in. I don't know how many of you are new and don't know that there's a trade filter, but if you click on that little magnifying glass, you can see a trade chat filter. And if your goal is just to make platinum, all you have to do is put WTB, which is the abbreviation for wanna buy. This is literally the only filter that I had the entire day that I made this kind of platinum. You do want to make sure that you're including the terms in the filters, and what this will do is make sure that only messages that have WTB will show up for you to view in trade chat. If a message does not have WTB, it won't show up. This is important because it makes trade chat a lot easier for you to filter messages and only see the ones that are involving people ready and willing to give away platinum so that you can then see, oh, I have that item and they're going to give away platinum. So I'll hit them up and let's see if I can make the trade with them. The other thing I was doing was having this website called Warframe.market up. I know a lot of you are aware, but again, there's newer players that don't know this website exists. And there's also a lot of players who personally don't care the website exists. And I'm sure we could talk about this in another video, but this website does not dictate the actual cost of things in the game. In fact, there is no actual cost of things in the game. It is a free market. Free markets are intentionally set up so that you can bargain, argue, and come to a conclusion between the buyer and the seller on a price that you're both comfortable with, which means there are no specific prices in the game. But the reason I still use this website anyway is just to be able to check prices. There are many times I'll see people saying, wanna buy Hammershot for 20 platinum in trade chat. And I might be thinking to myself, oh, that's not bad, until I go to the market and I see, wait a minute, the absolute lowest price this is going for on the website is 90 platinum. And as of recording this, there's only 3 of them right now. There's 4 people wanting to do it for 95, 2 for 99, 3 wanting to do it for 100, and everything else just gets higher. So I'm not using this website because I don't know what prices are. I'm using this website because prices fluctuate so often that what I don't want to have happen is I rip myself off because I wasn't keeping up to pace with the fluctuating prices. Why in the world would I make 70 plat less as a bare minimum of what the mod's actually worth. And I know it only goes up to a level 3, but if I max that mod out, I could add a little bit more platinum on top of that for the extra endo that I put into it. I'm only increasing its value by doing that. But the point I'm making here is that this is happening with everything in the game constantly. Whether it's a Warframe, whether it's a mod, whether it's a Riven, things are constantly fluctuating in price. So as much as it does not make sense for you to lean on the Warframe market as God's word, because it is not the official price of everything in the game, it is a good idea to just gander at prices from day to day on items that you're looking to make platinum off of, just to make sure that you're within ballpark range of what it's actually worth. Now, since I have this trade chat filter set up to only seeing wanna buys, I can just sit here and read the messages of people that are looking to spend platinum on items in the game. Which is why I ultimately recommend that when you post things in trade chat, it is very important that you paste them in a clickable link, which you can do by putting brackets around the items you're looking to trade. And like I said earlier, my ultimate goal is to get rid of all of my trades. And what I'm mostly doing is reading trade chat. So the types of things that I see pop up pretty common in trade chat are things like aura mods, corrupted mods, requiem mods, Ayatan sculptures for people who are just looking for endo, and every once in a while, things like gems or fish. Most of these things are not very expensive, and they're not yielding me a lot of platinum. And with 33 trades, if I were to make 10 platinum off of each one of those trades, and a person only wanted one item per trade, that's only 330 platinum that I'd be making there. One thing that you can do that a lot of really smart players are utilizing is a thing called upselling. So many times I'll get into a trade with someone who's just looking for a single Requiem mod, and I'll sell them that Requiem mod, and then seconds later I'll see them back in trade chat asking for another Requiem mod. And I had that Requiem mod, and I could have sold that to them as well. So when you are about to complete a trade with somebody, make sure you ask them before it goes through, is there anything else you're looking for? Another way you can upsell is asking players if they're willing to pay a little bit more for you to max out the mod. Now, personally, I don't recommend maxing out mods that go all the way up to level 10, because if you're looking at a gold mod, that's about 30,000 endo. And for anything less than 100 extra platinum on something like that, it is not worth it for you to do it. However, if you see somebody that is looking for a mod that maybe goes up to a level 3 or a level 5, then it might be worth you asking them if they want you to max out the mod for an extra 5 or 10 platinum. A lot of times people are willing to pay for the convenience of you doing that, and it is a way to upsell and increase your sales. Now, with thousands of items to sell inside of Warframe, and yes, there are thousands of items that you could sell inside of Warframe, how are you supposed to know how much everything is going for? And how do you know if that's really a good value for things? Well, some of you are going to say, well, use the Warframe.market, Neil, you brought that up before. You could be using Warframe.market for a lot of the items in the game, but how do you know that those are actually a good value? How do you know that all the people that are posting on that website aren't just like you and aren't sure how much things are going for, so they're just looking at everybody else to see what everybody else is selling it for? And how do we know that the majority of the community just magically knows how much something really should be worth? The honest to God truth, as somebody that's been doing this for 10 years, is they don't. Even though the Warframe market can be helpful in you figuring out how much something is worth that day, how do you know that that's even overall a close to fair price? A lot of us players that have been playing for 10 years realize that there is multi-levels to figuring a price out in something in the game. Things including, is it popular? Is it useful? How difficult is it to farm the thing? Like, what is its drop chance? If we go back to looking at Hammershot, and we kind of take a look at its drop chance here, we see that it comes from nightmare missions, and it has a 1.01% drop chance. Now, what's crazy about nightmare missions is that these are not constantly farmable. You cannot actually just farm a nightmare mission over and over and over again. Nightmare missions exist only because you've completed every single node on a single planet. So there is one nightmare mission per planet that you've completed every single node. There's only so many planets, and there are also only so many nightmare missions. Once and if you complete all of these 18 nightmare missions, which I've done before, and you can do it in about an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, you then cannot do another nightmare mission until the game resets them, which happens once every 8 hours. Now, unless you're an insomniac, the average player is only going to be able to get through maybe one rotation per day of these nightmare missions, which means you only have 18 chances per day to get the Hammershot mod that drops at 1.01%. Now, as somebody that streams Warframe daily, I spent about 2 months starting my streams off farming every nightmare mission I could every single day for 2 months just to see how long it would take me to get a Hammershot. And in the course of that 2 months, I acquired exactly 0 Hammershot mods. So putting 1.5 to 2.5 hours in every day for 60 days, only to wind up with 0 extra platinum off of a Hammershot mod, is exactly the reason why you may not want to necessarily just hug and rely on the Warframe market as what things are actually going for. And even though prices on Hammershot right now are closer to where I feel they should be for the amount of effort that goes in with the unlikelihood that you're going to get a Hammershot, earlier in 2023, I'd say from spring all the way through summer, if you were to check the Warframe market to take a look at how much a Hammershot mod was going for, you would have seen prices at about 30 to 35 platinum that people were selling these things for. And for the entirety of that time, I was telling everybody in my community that was asking on my streams, no, do not sell a Hammershot right now. It is in the worst position it could possibly be in. But like I said, there are thousands of items in this game, and how are you supposed to know when something is in a buy cycle and when something is in a sell cycle? How are you supposed to know when a good time to buy and a good time to sell is supposed to be on any of these thousands of items that you could trade in the game? Well, on one hand, you could spend thousands of hours like I have playing this game to get a general idea as to whether something is in a buy cycle or a sell cycle. You could also spend thousands of hours binging YouTube videos to see whether or not anybody's even covered the item that you're curious as to, is it a good time to buy or a good time to sell? Or, and maybe this is a shot in the dark here, you can save yourself thousands of hours of game playing and investing into YouTube videos and just find where the information's right in front of your face. And by that, I literally mean my Patreon. I have taken the thousands of hours that I have spent playing this game and being in trade chat, and I have narrowed all the important lessons down into really easy to consume videos that put all the information you need to know right in front of your face. And becoming a Patreon at any tier is going to gain you access to my VIP Discord. This is my tribe. This is where I spend my time. And this is where you're going to be able to ask any question that you may not have found the answer to, or just anything you want to know about in general in Warframe. This is where you can stay up to date on everything that's happening. So if you want to save time and money, become a Patreon, join the Discord, and come surround yourself with successful people who are making boatloads of platinum. Trade chat doesn't have to be difficult, and it doesn't have to take years to master. And remember, if you're looking to make a good amount of platinum, you can always start with the playlist that I've linked below. If you are brand new to Warframe, you can start with any video in this playlist that has easy or early in the title. And if you're far enough along in Warframe that you're up to Steel Path, any of these videos will do. The more you watch, the easier it's going to be to make platinum. As I said earlier in this video, we don't want to sit there and just sell one specific type of item. So the more you know, the easier it'll be. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you in the next one.